Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. Our headline for the month was Sales Refinances Pick Up Slightly Despite Rate Increase. So we're going to go to the numbers and talk about what is happening in the marketplace from the perspective of the Registry of Deeds, which is the recording operation for all of Plymouth County. We're going to start with deeds, which are sales of property. There were 739 deeds recorded in August, more than the 644 in July, 16% less than last year's 875 deeds, and 20% less year to date. You're going to see a listing of all of the sales within Plymouth County. Plymouth County's made up of 27 communities, 1 city, 26 towns. So you can see the numbers from January to August, from Abington through Whitman. Plymouth and Brockton have the largest number of sales for the county. You're also going to see a bar chart of mortgages. There were 1,280 mortgages recorded in August, more than the 1,067 in July, down 21% compared to last August, but year to date down 40%. When the rates went up, a lot of people stopped refinancing, didn't make any sense economically, and because of that, our numbers are really low in the mortgage department. Let's talk a little bit about foreclosures. Since the meltdown in 2008, we've always followed these closely, but the foreclosure numbers are very low. There was a moratorium during COVID, and the banks are just barely getting caught up with it now. So throughout the 27 communities in Plymouth County, there were only 10 foreclosure deeds in August, more than the 8 in July, but year to date, 31% down compared to last year. And the document we follow very closely also is a foreclosure notice. So a foreclosure notice would let us know someone's in trouble making their loan. They get a notice from the lender that says, be aware you're not keeping up with your loan. A foreclosure notice is a warning. A foreclosure deed basically means the lender is taking back title. There were 39 foreclosure notices in August, more than the 36 in July, 26% less than August, but 29% higher than last year at this time. So you're also going to see a listing of foreclosure deeds and notices for the 27 communities in Plymouth County. And as I mentioned before, because of the moratorium, there are still a lot of zeros. Brockton had 10 orders of notice, 3 deeds. Plymouth usually runs second, not so much last month, but something we keep a very close eye on. So we're re-recording, meaning we're recording over the internet about 80% of our regular recorded land and about 60% of our land court documents. And there are a lot of scams in real estate. I always try to make people aware of that. If you get a mailing that looks funny, don't respond to it. When people ask you to do something with your real estate, be very, very careful. And we do have for free on our website a free fraud alert. If you go to our website, PlymouthDeeds.org, and then go to resources, you can sign up under fraud alert with your email, and anything recorded against your property, you will get an email, and that'll give you some chance to see whether it's something that is supposed to be recorded, like paying off a mortgage or something more nefarious. So I have a great guest coming in the next segment of the show. Ollie who's a branch manager of Total Mortgage, located right here in Brockton on Pleasant Street. So we'll see you in the next segment. Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we've always done something educational in nature. We've had surveyors, appraisers, commercial real estate brokers, many realtors, and a lot of lending people over the years. So I have a great guest today. Welcome, Ollie.
Hello, how are you today?
Ollie Spears is the branch manager of Total Mortgage, Brockton branch.
Yes.
So welcome on the show.
Thank you so much.
So why don't you talk about yourself a little bit and how you got into the mortgage business, and then we'll talk about your company.
Yes, definitely. Again, my name is Ollie J. Spears. I'm with Total Mortgage branch manager. We have 4 offices with our team, with George DeSanto's team, out of Brockton, Fall River, Boston, and also Lynn. I've been doing mortgages since 1997. Wow. I started on the low end. I was 22 years old. I started a company called, it's a long time. A company called Long Beach Mortgage.
Okay.
Where it was a wholesale side. So I used to when files came in before they were emailed or the computers, they were mailed in, and I used to set them up, put them in the computer, so the underwriters can review the loan and get if they got approved or not. So we're talking a long time ago.
A lot of changes in technology.
A lot of changes in technology. And back then, we really didn't go off a credit score. We went off how many trade lines you had.
Okay.
So if you had 2 trade lines, you're like a D credit. You had 3 trade lines, you're a C credit. So a lot's changed since 1997.
So let's talk about Total Mortgage. I have to say I was not completely familiar with it, and I did some research and noticed the largest lender in Connecticut.
Yes. We have name rights for the Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Okay.
So
wow.
Yeah, we're huge. We're huge in Connecticut, but we're a $1 billion company, over 400 employees, and just in since January, we hired over 80 new employees to our organization throughout the company. So we're growing. People are recognizing that we're a top-notch company, and they love it, and they want to work with us.
And your local branch here in Brockton is at 281 Pleasant Street.
Yes, 281 Pleasant Street, the old Red Cross, if you're familiar with Brockton. Yeah. We're inside the office of Remax Synergy. We rent space out of that location.
Right. So let's talk about things that are happening right now in the marketplace. It's a funny marketplace with higher interest rates. But you say you folks are pretty busy.
Yeah, we're busy, and I think what's different from us is most of our team are bilingual. So I'm like the only one, myself and Stephanie, we're the only ones that don't speak a second language. So people like to deal with somebody that looks like them, talks like them, that understands them. So we're still, our phones are ringing, we're still helping out, we're still pre-approving people, we're still getting people pre-approved and purchasing houses. We have people that speak Haitian Creole, we have people that speak Cape Verdean Creole, Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese. So our team is very well diverse.
Right. So let's talk about how someone who'll be watching this show that's thinking about buying a home would get pre-approved for a mortgage, and what they would need and the process that they would go through.
Well, I think the first process is, are you ready to be pre-approved? Do you have savings? Do you have money saved up? If some of the questions are, I think I'm ready to be pre-approved, you just give us a call, or you go to www.dudewiththeredglasses.com, go to my website, and you can apply online, or you can meet us in person. Whatever's easier for you, we accommodate. And the first part of getting pre-approved is making sure that your income uphold your new mortgage and your current debt. So we pull your credit, as long as you have a credit score above 580, We could do FHA, 3.5% down, and so we check your income, we check your credit, we check how much your assets, and we make sure that you can afford the house. So that's the most important. And we let you know what your payment's going to be. Hey, your payment's going to be X, Y, and Z. Are you comfortable with that? If you're not comfortable with that, we don't want to put you in a bad situation.
Yeah, many realtors won't even talk to somebody
Right.
if you don't have a pre-approval letter.
Right. If you don't have a pre-approval letter, they won't even show you a house. They won't even talk to you, because that's the most important part. It's two different things. So people say, hey, I'm pre-qualified or I'm pre-approved. Pre-qualified is when you go to somebody and they run your credit and you say, hey, I make X, Y, Z. That bank or that broker, they didn't check your assets, they didn't check your income, they just checked your credit and they went off your word.
Okay.
So a lot of times you bring a pre-qualification to a realtor, like, hey, no, we're not taking that. You have to be pre-approved.
Okay.
And the difference between a pre-approval is we look at your credit, we look at your income, we look at your assets, we look at your job history, make sure all that stuff pans out, that it's all true. And that's when we issue the pre-approval. And we run your information through what's called a desktop underwriting system, make sure that all the numbers work, your debt ratio works, and that you're qualified based off the information you gave us.
So what type of information do you usually ask them to bring with them for a first meeting?
The first meeting, the last 30 days pay stubs if you're W-2'd, your last 2 years W-2s, and 1 month bank statement. But if you're self-employed, we just need your last 2 years tax returns.
Okay.
Right. So, and then with that, we pull your credit, we put your information in the system and make sure that everything looks good.
Right. And so what are you finding now, people that are out looking? We've seen a very tight inventory.
Yeah. It's tight inventory, but what I also noticed, because the interest rates are higher than they were in the past 3 years, that a lot of people are buying houses together, multi-generational, like mothers and kids and grandparents and grandchildren. They're buying houses where they're going to live together under one roof. So instead of husband and wife buying a single family house, it's the husband, wife, and his parents.
Okay.
So it's maybe 2 sets of families or 3 sets of family buying a single family house or buying multifamily. So we're seeing multi-generationals purchasing houses, especially in the Plymouth County area where the houses are more expensive than other parts of the state.
Yeah.
So we need, if you're making $40,000, we need that second income where both of you guys need to be about $80,000 with very little debt.
Yeah, for many years, Plymouth County was more reasonably priced
Right.
than, say, Norfolk County to the north, or even Suffolk County.
Suffolk County, right.
And lately, our average sale price has creeped up.
Right.
It's
right.
leveling off a little bit, but not dropping from our numbers.
Right.
And just really tough.
Right. It's tough.
Yeah.
And the reason why the accommodations that Plymouth County has, the closest to Boston, the train, the highways, shopping, the malls. So it's more affordable than Suffolk County, Boston, more affordable than Norfolk County, Canton. But if you're from the Brockton area or the Bridgewater areas, you might say, oh, these prices are a little higher than usual. But when somebody comes from Suffolk County or Norfolk County, it's a steal, it's a deal. Right. So it's the good and the bad all in one, so that's the only thing you have to look at.
So how do your mortgage originators, or whatever term they go by, find people that want to borrow?
So the best way, what we've been doing is being in the community. Giving back to the community is so important. That's how we get a majority of our business. Let people know that, that we're part of the community. We help out in the community. We donate our time. We give back. So that's how we inject ourselves in the community. And also social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, that also helps portray our image to new customers or people thinking about buying a house.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for first-time home buyers
Yes.
and the difficulty they face because of down payment numbers and just having credit in many cases and all those kinds of things. What are you seeing in the marketplace for first-time home buyers?
You know, for first-time home buyers, that's our bread and butter. We love first-time home buyers because we all been there, and it's frustrating not knowing. So when you have a professional that knows A to Z and Z to A to help you accomplish your goal of home ownership is so important. So we like to let our customers know, like, hey, when you come to us, we're the mortgage professionals, and we're going to show you how to achieve your goal. We're going to communicate all the way through. When we need something, we're going to talk to you. We're going to explain what we need. We're going to explain your payment. We're going to explain the process of getting approved. So a lot of times when people come to us, we pre-approve them, right? And then after you get pre-approved, you go out. You go find a realtor. The realtor finds your house, and you come back. Hey, I found a house. I purchased a sale. Now the work begins. So we take your purchase and sale. We take the documents you give us. We send it into our underwriter. Our underwriter underwrites the file, comes back, say, hey, the file looks good. It's approved, conditional approval. So it comes back. You need X, Y, and Z. You need an updated pay stub. Oh, Mr. Thomas, you're paying child support. We need your court order. So we get all the conditions that the underwriter is looking for to satisfy his or her approval. And then once we get all that, we submit the loan with the conditions that you give us for a clear to close. So the process takes about 30 days from start to finish. From once you get that purchase and sale, home inspection to close in about 30 days.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the marketplace we're in. The good parts and the bad parts of it.
Absolutely.
What are you seeing these days?
People always come to me, hey, Ollie, what do you think? The rate's gonna go down or the market's gonna go down? I've been doing this since 1997, and I don't have a crystal ball. The market is a beast of its own. And what I tell people, that, hey, should I buy? Yeah, it's a great time to buy, because you know why? People get married, right? People get divorced. People have children. Children move out, so they got to downgrade. So it's always, everybody's situation is different. So what's your situation? Did you just have a child where you're living in a one-bedroom apartment? Right. So now you need to provide for your significant other and your child. So you're looking to buy something versus paying $3,000 for rent. You might as well pay $3,000 for a mortgage. Yeah. So what's your need? So we want to base that pre-approval off your need. So it's always a great time to buy. It depends on what you need done.
Home ownership takes a lot of work.
Yes.
But it is one of the few ways to gain wealth. Every month you pay, you're paying down off the interest in the mortgage and gaining equity. Absolutely.
And I talk about this all the time. Mortgages, it's about generational wealth. You buy a house, go back, the 70s, right? Somebody bought a lot of my friends' parents bought a house in the 70s. They paid $50,000, right? Over in Southfield or in Brookfield and Brockton, they paid $50,000, $70,000. Those same Campanelli houses are worth, they're selling $500,000. Right? So that's 10 times what they paid for 40 years ago. So you're never going to lose. If the market has a downtime, where houses values go low, they're going to come back up. Yeah. You're never going to lose in real estate.
Right.
At all.
Well, I remember the days when mortgage rates were 14% or higher. Right. And people still bought homes. Then they refied and they refied again.
Exactly. And then most of the time when you buy a home, the average is you're going to refinance within 7 years. Yeah. They always say, love the house, date the rate. You know what I mean? Don't worry about the interest rate. As long as you can afford it, that's the most important part. Right. And that's the most important. It's date the rate, love the house, marry the house, and we'll take care of that later when rates come back down. In 2000, when I bought my first condo, I bought it, my interest rate was 8.625 for FHA. Yeah. but my condo was only 105,000 at the time. At the time, But the last 3 years, we were spoiled. We were spoiled with the interest rates.
And the rates were artificially low.
I refinanced people. My lowest one I refinanced somebody was down to 2.375.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, 2.375.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm not really sure if anybody knows, even the Federal Reserve, where it's going long term. And so if you have your needs, as you say, you have to make some decisions.
Right. And sacrifices, decisions and sacrifices, because it's all about need, because nobody knows. The job market, the job numbers came out last week, they're really good. Then they came out this week, they're bad. And the rates are supposed to go down, they came back up.
We have elections. And all the things that are going on. I watch Bloomberg News, and they give you all these advice, and the next week they're saying something different.
Say something different, right? It's like the weather.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be sunny, it's going to be 80 degrees together today.
Right. So let's talk about how people can reach you and your contact information.
I think the best way to reach me, you can always call me at 508-649-6590. My website, www.dowiththeredglasses.com. Or you can always email me or find me on social media. Just Google, if you Google Ollie J. Spears, all my information will pop up.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
I appreciate you.
And good to see you.
Definitely, for sure.
Thank you to Ollie Spears for the great job he did describing total mortgage and what is happening in the mortgage market currently. It's always good information for people to know what's going on, and there is another lender out there that you could take a look at. This segment of the show, we always do something lighter in nature. Some of our Plymouth County and Plymouth Colony history. So let's go right to that. There are a few holidays for the month of September. We'll be talking about Labor Day was the 4th, Grandparents' Day the 10th, National Cheeseburger Day the 18th, Yom Kippur started on the 24th. We'll be coming up on National Coffee Day on the 29th, but we have a couple of our very famous notable land records to talk about. The first one is Savory's Avenue in Carver. It's America's first divided highway. So if you drive down Route 58 through Carver, you'll notice a sign for Savory's Avenue. It was the first divided highway in America, and it was divided, surrounded by pine trees, and later cut through pine trees with pine trees in the middle. That was done in 1861 when he presented land with the agreement to do this, and they did this project for the shade and ornament of man and beast. That's the quote in the deed. So for 100 years, this was the main passageway through Carver from the north on your way to Wareham. Today, Savory's Avenue is open for the public as kind of a historic ability to travel through time. Savory's Avenue has been nominated to be on the National Register of Historic Places. So our next notable land record is also in Carver, Lakenham Green. Lakenham Green was originally part of the town of Plimpton until 1790. It's located in Carver's first historical district. It's located in the village of North Carver. It's one of the most historic parts of Carver. The green is a central component of the Lakenham Historic District. In 1737, Jonathan Shaw, Carver's first permanent resident, established the green. It was used for grazing animals and later as its training ground for the militia. There are several historic buildings there, including King Philip's Hall, Congregational Church, Pink's General Store, and an old post office. Memorial Day services have been held here since the Civil War, and the green was named Nelson Garnett Memorial Green. The Carver Bicentennial Commission restored the green in 1975, and it is something, if you go to that part of Carver, it's certainly worth seeing, and the Carver Historical Commission helped me with this project. Next is a part of Kingston that not many people are aware of. It is called Woodside. It was the home of the Brewster family for 200 years, one of the oldest houses in Kingston. Major William Bradford in 1689 gave 30 acres in Plymouth North Precinct. Kingston was actually part of Plymouth until it was divided off. And it would be given to his stepson and his wife, descendants of the elder William Brewster, a very famous Mayflower person. They built a small salt box. It is well known within the town. Wrestling Brewster lived there for many years. He was a farmer, a shoemaker, and one of the original 41 residents who petitioned Plymouth for the separation of Kingston, and then Kingston's first elected treasurer. Subsequent generations of the Brewsters have owned and operated these houses. It's a wonderful place to visit, and something that people may want to take a look at. And our colonial record for this month is pretty interesting. We have the Plymouth County colony records, the handwriting of the colonists, in our possession. And this particular document is in the Book of Laws. And what it does, it establishes voting rights. There's a lot of controversy over voting rights these days, whether to allow mail-in ballots, same-day registration, or more restrictive things going out there. But the colonists in the early time period decided that if you couldn't go to vote for disability or inconvenience or anything that hampered your ability to get to the polling station, you could vote by proxy. Voting by proxy means you can have someone else vote for you, and the votes would be counted in the same way as other votes, but it clearly was a very unique time because people couldn't travel around. The roads weren't very well constructed in those days, but still allowed people to participate in government. So I want to thank Lorna Green Baker and Christine Richards for helping with this show. I want to thank Emma Reardon and the folks here at Brockton Community Access Television for continuing to allow me to do this show, the Registered Report. We share this with many people across the county. For most people, their home is their most valuable asset, and the more you know about it, the better off you are, because you can take positive action to help yourself. So thank you for joining me. We make the transition to fall. Please be healthy, and we'll see you next month.